You ready?
Yeah.
So, Matt, what did we get here?
So I'm really excited to walk through one of our use cases, which is business impact analytics. And you're going to see a combination of AppDynamics plus Workload Optimization Manager to do two things. First is understand when there's a technical issue in the environment, how is that impacting a business outcome? And then use an AI-driven, an AIOps approach to actually remediate those issues before they have a critical impact on customers. So we're starting on a dashboard view, and it's important to note that this is a dashboard that typically can be leveraged by multiple audiences. So if you think from a CIO or IT leadership down, quickly understanding if a business metric has impact, articulating to the line of business that they're on top of it and they understand the technical impact. Also from a domain perspective, if I'm in application ops infra, knowing how my piece of the puzzle that I'm managing is driving up towards that business impact.
Okay.
So in this case, we're going to look at a few things. So this is obviously a financial services company. We're delivering things like insurance policies, maybe loans, retail banking. And immediately we notice that one of those key business metrics, in this case insurance policies, looks like it has a health problem, right? How do we know that? Well, we're looking at historical data to know that we're normally for this time in the day, we should be driving much higher dollars in insurance policies quoted. And not only do we have that high-level metric, but we can also drill down into the exact 76 customers who had a performance impact. We know roughly there was about $50,000 at stake, and we know exactly what types of quotes they were attempting to purchase. So we have a very deep level of information about these customers, potentially down even to their email address.
So you're saying that the 48K that are at risk. So Jersey May is there, man. Get out of the screen.
Indeed. So let's come back and say, well, now that we know that there's a business impact, we need very clear line of sight to, is technology impacting that? And in this case, we can see the application triggers, as Carlos mentioned, and this is how customers are actually interacting with this digital property, right? So if I want to go apply for an insurance quote, I've got to either go on a web browser, maybe a mobile device, and fill out that information. Now, in this case, it looks like there are some customers that are experiencing 6 seconds response time. Now, I don't know about anybody in the audience, but if I get the spinning wheel of doom for more than 1 or 2 seconds, really easy for me to open up another browser tab and go to a competitor.
Yep.
And finally, we can drill all the way down into the application and infrastructure layer to see exactly which services are being impacted. In this case, it looks like we maybe have a Java application issue with our main quoting services, but potentially also an infrastructure issue with some of the discount services that are also looking for people that maybe have multiple policies. So now that we have that clear line of sight, let's look at how we're using the information that's coming out of Workload Optimization Manager to look at how we remediate those issues. Right? And so you see that direct correlation where we can drill into a recommendation that's been served to us, say what can we do about the issue that we're seeing in that Java application server environment. In this case, it looks like there's a problem with the Java heap on that machine. So the other thing that we can see here is from an infrastructure perspective, we may also need to scale up one of our VMs. And this could just as easily be maybe a cloud instance. But the important thing to note here is that we also have an estimated cost. So know it's going to cost us about $400 to scale that box up.
So Matt, let's see and understand. The $400 that you have there is the cost to fix. And $48,000 is the cost of not doing something. We just correlate this in real time, what the cost of doing something versus the cost on the business of not doing something. It becomes a no-brainer for me. So if I can even go to a services now and change all the policies for change management, if it gets that trigger, you don't need approvals. You just go because it's so much of a no-brainer for that regards.
Yep.
So, oh boy, you already did it? You automated everything?
Well, we got to execute the action to fix
those
this
are SEs. How do I know you're not faking me even if in a real life demo?
So while we're executing that action, let's jump over to Workload Optimization Manager and see how was that recommendation generated, right? So this isn't mocked up. We're actually feeding that data in from AppDynamics, and we can see from an application perspective that spike in response time, and we have that direct correlation down into the app server environment. Now, in this case, we use an issue with heap. It just could easily have been an issue with maybe garbage collection, virtual CPU. There's a whole host of metrics that we're plumbing in and using to drive those algorithms to figure out, what are the different touch points that we could potentially fix in order to drive that recommendation and bring us back to a healthy state.
Okay, so that means that you're back in track?
Well, our action has been executed, and again, because we're looking at all these metrics in real time, not from a historical perspective, as those actions are executed, as our infrastructure or applications start to return healthy, we can see that trickle-up effect and see that we've had a positive business impact.
Wow, that was good. Give to Matt, man. This was amazing. So let me share a little bit on the details on that demo just for you to know. This demo is live. It was running for real here. What has behind the scenes? We have AppDynamics Business IQ, we have AppDynamics APM, we have C1, we have an ACI Fabric, we have an account on AWS, and we have Hyperflex. And the goal of our demo was to show one screen. And that's what we did. So we hide all the complex of the automation engines, we highlight the intelligence, we put everything on a single screen, we create a cockpit of the business, we correlate real time from the costs.